Did you know that improving just 1% daily could make you 37 times better by the end of a year? 37 times better. Not through luck, talent, but habits. James Clear calls these atomic habits, the tiniest changes that can shift everything. Today, we're exploring Atomic Habits by James Clear, where the science of small changes collides with the art of lasting transformation. Imagine this. Every decision you make and action you take shapes the person you'll become. And what if the smallest of those choices held the greatest power to change your life? Atomic Habits by James Clear isn't just a book. It's a manual for transformation. A guide to building good habits, breaking bad ones, and understanding how tiny, almost imperceptible changes can snowball into remarkable outcomes. At its core, this book reveals that habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Small actions, done consistently, yield extraordinary results over time. For anyone who's struggled to stick with habits or felt locked into patterns they couldn't break, Atomic Habits offers the tools to rewrite that story. It's not about willpower or perfection. It's about systems that make progress automatic. In this video, we'll discuss the strategies, stories, and science behind Clear's methods. By the end, you'll have the keys to reshaping your habits and future. If you're ready to take control of your habits and unlock your full potential, stay until this video's end. Every action we take leaves a mark, a ripple that seems small at the moment, but over time, those ripples can reshape our lives. Habits, as James Clear explains, are like compound interest. They work quietly in the background, magnifying over time. Good habits will pull you closer to success, while bad ones slowly drag you down. Clear's most striking example? The story of British cycling. Their performance was embarrassingly mediocre for nearly a century, so much so that even bike manufacturers refused to supply them. But in 2003, everything changed. A new performance director, Dave Brailsford, introduced what he called the aggregation of marginal gains. Small, almost invisible changes were made to everything. The design of their seats, the fabric of their uniforms, even the way riders wash their hands to avoid illness. The results? Within 5 years, British cycling dominated the 2008 Olympics, winning 60% of the gold medals in their events. And in 2012, they shattered records once again. What seemed impossible became inevitable because tiny, consistent improvements compound into monumental change. The same principle applies to your life. The habits you choose today, no matter how small, are shaping the trajectory of your future. Imagine trying to solve a puzzle without ever seeing the pieces. That's what it's like to build a habit without a clear starting point. The first step in building better habits, James Clear explains, is making them obvious. A cue, the trigger that sparks a habit, needs to stand out. If it's hidden, it will be ignored. But when it's impossible to miss, action becomes almost automatic. Every habit begins with a cue, a spark that ignites a behavior. But here's the problem. Not all cues are created equal. Some are so subtle that they slip past unnoticed, while others command your attention and demand action. The difference between the two can determine the habits you build or fail to build. James Clear explains that the brain is wired to respond to what's obvious. What you see is what you act on. If you don't notice a cue, the habit doesn't even have a chance to start. Want to start journaling? Leave your notebook and pen on your desk, right where you can't ignore them. If your goal is to exercise in the morning, lay out your workout clothes before you go to bed. These small tweaks remove barriers and make your intention visible. But it's not just about adding cues. It's also about removing the wrong ones. Things in your environment constantly shape your behavior. Think about your phone. The endless notifications, the buzz, the glow, these are cues pulling you away from focus, inch by inch. Want to limit distractions? Make your phone invisible. Put it in another room while you work. Create an environment that makes doing the right thing easier than slipping back into the wrong habits. Clear tells us that our surroundings can be a silent force, steering us towards success or failure without us even noticing. Consider this. A group of researchers studied how the layout of a cafeteria influenced people's eating habits. When healthier food options were placed at eye level and within easy reach, people chose them more often, without even realizing why. The lesson is clear. Your environment shapes your choices. If you're struggling to build a habit, start by changing your surroundings. Rearrange your space to make cues for good habits impossible to ignore. The same principle applies when breaking bad habits. If you want to stop a behavior, eliminate the cue. Trying to watch less TV? Unplug the device or move the remote to another room. Trying to cut down on late-night snacking? Remove junk food from your pantry entirely. When the cue is out of sight, it's out of mind, and action becomes much harder. Here's the most surprising part. One cue can trigger a cascade of habits. Take the act of placing your running shoes by the door. It's not just about getting you to exercise. It signals to drink more water after the workout, prepare a healthier meal, and sleep earlier to recover. The small act of seeing those shoes sets a chain of behaviors in motion. The cues in your environment are not passive. They're silently shaping your actions, defining your day, and, ultimately, writing your story. By making the right cues obvious, you take control of that story. And when you remove the wrong ones, you protect your future from habits that hold you back. The question is, what cues will you design to build the life you want? Once the cue catches your attention, what happens next? What compels you to act? This is where craving takes over, the emotional pull that gives a habit its power. While the cue sets the stage, craving provides the spark. Seeing your running shoes by the door, the cue, is just the beginning. What really drives you to lace them up is the promise of how you'll feel after the run. The energy, the satisfaction, the sense of accomplishment. James Clear teaches us that for a habit to stick, it must feel rewarding, even before it begins. That's why the second law of behavior change is to make it attractive. Take exercise, for example. It's not always easy to start, but what if you pair it with something you enjoy? Listening to your favorite music or catching up on a podcast can transform a routine workout into a time you look forward to. But it's not just about adding rewards, it's also about changing how you see the habit. Reframing your mindset can turn a dreaded task into something you're eager to do. For example, instead of thinking, I have to work out, think, I get to work out and feel stronger. This simple shift makes the habit more appealing. Craving isn't only personal, it's social. The people around us deeply influence us. Want to build better habits? Surround yourself with those who embody the behaviors you want to adopt. Being part of a group that values fitness, learning, or productivity makes those habits more attractive. The pull of belonging is a powerful motivator. The cue gets your attention, but craving drives your desire. By making a habit attractive through rewards, reframing, or social influence, you transform it into something you want, not something you must do. And when desire is strong, action becomes inevitable. So, what can you do to make your habits irresistible? The cue grabs your attention. The craving builds your desire. But none of it matters if the next step feels too hard. This is where most habits fail, not because we don't want them, but because we make them too complicated to act on. When craving sparks action, the easier the response, the more likely it is to happen. It's human nature. We're drawn to the path of least resistance. That's why James Clear's third law of behavior change is simple. Make it easy. Here's the secret. Any habit can feel manageable if you shrink it. Start small, so small that it's impossible to fail. Clear calls this the 2-minute rule. Reduce the habit to its simplest form. Want to write a book? Start by writing a single sentence. Want to get fit? Begin with 2 minutes of stretching. The goal isn't perfection, it's momentum. But making it easy isn't just about starting small. It's about removing barriers that get in the way. If you want to read more, keep your book on your nightstand. If you want to exercise, set out your gear the night before. By preparing ahead, you eliminate excuses and make action seamless. And then there's automation, using systems to do the heavy lifting. Save money by setting up automatic transfers. Eat healthier by meal prepping in advance. Every barrier you remove makes the habit easier to repeat. The craving pushes you to act, but the ease of response ensures you follow through. By shrinking habits, removing friction, and designing systems that make action effortless, you eliminate resistance and let your habits take root. What's the simplest step you can take today to get started? You've noticed the cue, felt the craving, and taken the first step. But how do you ensure the habit sticks? The answer lies in what comes next. The reward. Taking action, no matter how small, is only part of the process. For a habit to take root, your brain needs a reason to repeat it. That's where the fourth law of behavior change comes in. Make it satisfying. The response is the bridge, but the reward is what closes the loop. Human behavior thrives on immediate feedback. When something feels good, your brain recognizes it as worth repeating. This is why celebrating small wins is so powerful. You reinforce the habit each time you acknowledge progress, building a positive association that fuels motivation. Think of this. After a workout, seeing your progress on a fitness app, or crossing the day off your calendar. These small, satisfying moments create a ripple effect, making you want to do it again. But rewards don't always need to be tangible. Sometimes, the feeling itself is enough. The pride of finishing a task, the sense of accomplishment after sticking to your plan. These emotional rewards are just as impactful. A person finishing a journal entry, smiling as they read back over their thoughts. The act of completion itself becomes the reward. Here's the challenge. Many of the best habits, like saving money or exercising, come with delayed rewards. It's hard to stay motivated when the payoff feels distant. But Clear shows us a solution. Create short-term rewards to bridge the gap. After saving a certain amount, treat yourself to something small. After finishing a study session, enjoy a favorite snack. These immediate rewards keep you engaged while the long-term benefits accumulate in the background. Making habits satisfying isn't just about building good ones, but also breaking bad ones. If you want to quit a bad habit, flip the equation. Make it unsatisfying. Share your goals with a friend who holds you accountable, or set up a system where every misstep has consequences. The response creates the habit, but the reward makes it last. Finding satisfaction in every small step, visible progress, emotional pride, or immediate treats, creates a cycle of positive reinforcement. And with each repetition, the habit becomes a part of you. So, how will you reward yourself for taking action today? Why do some habits stick while others crumble under the weight of old routines? The answer lies in a truth few consider. True change isn't about what you do, it's about who you become. James Clear makes a bold point. The most lasting habits are not tied to outcomes, but to identity. The goal isn't to read a book, it's to become a reader. It's not about running a marathon, it's about becoming a runner. When habits are rooted in identity, they transform from tasks into natural extensions of who you are. Clear gives us a striking example. Two people trying to quit smoking. When offered a cigarette, one says, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit." The other replies, "No thanks, I'm not a smoker." The difference? The first person still sees themselves as a smoker struggling against their habit. The second has shifted their identity. They're no longer resisting. They've already decided who they are. Your habits reflect the type of person you believe yourself to be. If you see yourself as someone who never misses a workout, you'll show up at the gym, rain or shine. If you believe you value learning, picking up a book becomes second nature. But here's the key. Identity isn't fixed. It's built through small actions, repeated over time. Each time you align with the person you want to be, you vote for that identity. The more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. Think of someone trying to become healthier. Each small decision, choosing water over soda, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, reinforces the belief, I am a healthy person. Over time, that identity becomes undeniable. But just as actions build a new identity, clinging to an old one can hold you back. Stories like, I'm just not a morning person, or I've never been good at math aren't truths, they're beliefs. To grow, you must rewrite the story of who you are and step into the identity you aspire to. The habits that define your life aren't just about goals. They're about identity. Who do you believe you are? You can choose to reinforce the old or step into the new with every action. So ask yourself, not just what do you want to achieve, but who do you want to become? Who will you become with the choices you make today? Everyone has goals. We set them for everything, from losing weight to building a business. But here's the truth most of us miss. No matter how clear or urgent, goals aren't enough to guarantee success. James Clear challenges us to rethink our approach. Goals give you direction, but systems make progress automatic. You see, goals are about the result. Systems are about the process. And when it comes to lasting change, it's the system, the small, consistent actions that drives real progress. Goals set a destination, but they can't get you there alone. Everyone wants to run a marathon, lose weight, or start a successful business. But without a system, that goal remains just a dream. A person who sets a goal to lose weight but doesn't build a consistent exercise and meal plan sets themselves up for frustration. They fall off track the moment they slip up, believing they've failed. On the other hand, systems are built for longevity. Instead of obsessing over the goal, focus on the process, the daily habits and routines that drive progress. It's not about focusing solely on the finish line, but how you show up daily. What makes systems so powerful is their ability to work in the background, even when motivation fades. With a system in place, your habits continue, regardless of mood or energy. The consistency of small actions, done repeatedly, brings results. Let's say you set a goal to read a book monthly, but instead of focusing on the number of books, you create a system of reading 10 pages daily. Over time, that system works its magic without you needing to track every goal. And before you know it, you've read 12 books. Clear brings in an important point. Winners and losers often have the same goals. What sets them apart is their commitment to the process. The winners are the ones who focus on the systems that get them there day after day, even when the finish line seems far away. When you focus on the system, the goal becomes a natural byproduct. You don't need to obsess over your weight or revenue. You just need to keep improving your habits. Before long, you'll realize the system drives success, not the end goal itself. Systems are the backbone of real and lasting change. Goals may give you a direction, but only a system can turn your aspirations into action. It's not enough to just set your sights on a goal. You must commit to the process, day in and day out. Do you have the right system to reach your goal, or is your goal just a dream without the actions to back it up? Sometimes, the path to change isn't immediate. It's not about instant transformation or a sudden breakthrough. It's about the small, consistent actions that quietly rebuild us, even when we can't see the change happening. James Clear knows this firsthand. In his early teens, a life-altering accident left him in a coma. A baseball bat shattered his face, breaking bones and causing brain injuries so severe that doctors weren't sure if he would ever fully recover. But recovery didn't come from grand gestures. It came from the smallest of habits, small steps that added up over time. Clear's body was broken, but his spirit wasn't. Slowly, he started with simple movements, habits so small they almost seemed insignificant. Each day, he pushed himself just a little bit more, stretching a little further, standing up for a few more seconds, taking a few more steps. For someone trying to build a new habit, this could be as simple as starting with 2 minutes. The 2-minute rule, a habit reduced to its smallest, most manageable form. It's not about running a marathon on the first day. It's about putting on your shoes and walking out the door. Imagine telling yourself, I'll just walk for 2 minutes. That's it. No pressure, no expectation of perfection. But over time, those 2 minutes turn into 10, then 20. Soon it's a full workout. The habit grows, but it starts with the smallest possible action. Habits work the same way. They often feel invisible initially, like ice slowly warming up in a freezing room. For the longest time, nothing seems to happen. It stays frozen. But then, at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, something shifts. It starts to melt. That's how habits compound. Day after day, nothing seems to change. But every time you show up, you're melting the ice. And when the temperature finally crosses that threshold, everything transforms. James Clear wasn't just recovering physically. He was rebuilding his confidence, piece by piece, through small actions that accumulated over time. The same principle applies to you. Every day you show up, every time you act, you are slowly melting the ice until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. Change doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't need to be instantaneous. It's about trusting the process, even when progress seems invisible. Just like ice slowly turning to water, Your habits are building quietly, steadily, until one day you realize you've become someone new. So, what small habit can you start with today? The first step may seem insignificant, but it's the one that begins the change process. We've explored the profound impact of small habits, the power of systems, and the transformative potential of identity change. But let's take a moment to step back and revisit the key takeaways. Remember this: the secret lies in small changes and systems, not just goals. Getting caught up in the destination is easy, the big, shiny result. But true, lasting success comes from the daily routines and systems that make progress automatic. Second, identity change is the foundation of lasting habits. It's not about forcing yourself to do something. It's about becoming the type of person who doesn't even think twice about doing it. And finally, this book is perfect for anyone looking to improve their life, health, productivity, relationships, or finances. Atomic Habits isn't just a guide for building habits. It's a blueprint for personal transformation. Remember, the power is in your hands. You can start with one small change today. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to start. So, what will you start today? What habit will you build? What identity will you claim? And what system will you create? The journey begins now. If this summary inspired you, imagine the transformation waiting for you when you read Atomic Habits in full. Don't just wait for change. Start today.